everybody. I knew I forgot to do something. Good to see you. Okay, that sounds strange, but I think it's okay. Yep, it's good. All right. Hi. It's good to see you guys, to see everybody here. Larry and Angie, safe travels on the road. My goodness, coming back from the property. Yay. Linda, hi. Good to have you here. And Susan, nice, nice. So I got artwork from Larry and Tamra. Um, put in the comments if you sent something in and I missed it, because it's been a day. Art Walk is Wednesday and I'm a little bit nutsified. Yeah. There's Susan and Tamra. Yay, you made it back. And Lupe, she's lurking on a big screen, so she can't comment. I know I often feel that way. I will get on my phone while I'm on a big screen, watching it on the big screen, and I'll get on the phone and comment. When I watch the Bears, that's how I have to interact, to ask questions like, which bear is that? Which one's doing this? And there is Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. Nice to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. And Larry's checking in. He's on the road home from the property, and she's behind me. She must be Angie. And it's playing with glass. Yes. Yes. Tonight's story I think you're going to like if you're at all a fan of glass blowing. Yeah. Yes, that was Murano glass. And that's part of what the story is about. You getting, yay for you. Good, Josh. Did a bear, BM Sculptures did a bear yesterday and Gretchen, you would, oh, I'll have to take a look. Yay, I haven't seen that. Yeah, I've been just having a great time watching the bears, and I don't know where my bear is that I figured out how to make it walk across the stage. Did I do that for you guys? The overlay? I might have. Tell me if I did that overlay for you guys where I had it walking there. You've been to Murano? Oh, well, you'll see something that I have from Murano. That's my show and tell tonight that my daughter brought me. But so I hope everybody's doing well. It has been kind of a jumble. My studio looks like it. Yeah. The the insulation is laid out inside the shed, but it is not up yet. It's fluffing up kind of, and I don't think it's gonna make it up before I get back from Rook's birthday. So the art walk in our community is on Wednesday from 4 to 8. I have a booth, plus I am in charge of a specific venue area. We call it the Uptown. And I think I have 15 booths in my area. Oof. And making sure that they all get to the right spot and everything's all laid out. And then I'm also been, since I'm on the board, getting signs and stuff, and everybody else has been doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's just a lot of things. And taking a deep breath here and there to do that. This Thursday I will do a show, and then Sundays will most likely be next Sunday will most likely be a premiere. Because so if you want to send in art for this Thursday instead of next Sunday, I'll do a premiere. I'll record a show because Rook turns 5 on Saturday, and I'm heading down on Friday morning and gonna spend Friday through Sunday, Monday. We'll come home probably Monday down there, spending some time with the girl turning 5 and with McLean and Rory. And yeah, so, but she's so excited for her to start kindergarten. It's going to be, I have 2 grandkids in kindergarten this year. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I could just imagine. Yes. And there is Julia. Did I just see? Oh, there. Hey, Fatima's here. And Travel Dream. Did I see Julia sneak in? No. SG. How are you feeling? Okay. All right. So tonight for show and tell, we have just a couple pieces from some folks, but I think you're gonna like them. So. Okay, so this first one is, let me move me out of the way, is from Tamra. And I didn't get a chance to, well, yeah, I'll read her email to you guys. She said, she also has a photo that she took from the top of the mountain near their home, out overlooking the ocean. We have many beautiful spots like this, and it's so green at the moment. Isn't that gorgeous? That's just stunning. Oh, it's just that kind of ocean view. That would make my sister Patty actually be settled, I think. Oh, I have to, my screen. Hang on, you guys. My screen has a fingerprint on it. That's bad. Oh, well. It is beautiful. Really, really nice balance and beautiful picture, but just a view like that. Oh, my goodness. Okay, and then she says, she managed to finish the third piece for the Indigenous Beginnings. I've sent a close-up as well. The series is a collage and done with card paper. And so that's that. Here is the full piece. Let me get me out of the way. Oh, no, this is the close-up piece. Yeah, this is the close-up piece part of it that she shows how in the close-up, and then the full piece is right here. Yeah. Tamara, that is beautiful. I take it you were able to get into the doctor today for that fall? Check your hand. Hey, you guys. Tamara, we're a pair because, I think I mentioned early last week, I dropped my phone. My phone has a handle on it. I mean, I have a shoulder strap on it. It got caught on a doorknob, and it pulled out of my hand and slammed down and hit my foot. And the next morning, I thought my foot was really dirty. I couldn't figure out why, and I was scrubbing it. I realized it was bruised, and it's been, I think I broke my toe. I can still walk on. I think I just maybe cracked a little bone in the top of my middle toe on one. Yeah, it's just gruesome color, but I can, if I push on it, it hurts a whole lot, but I can walk on it without too much problem. But yeah, what are they going to do? Oh, well. So I hope your hand is all right. There's a warrior goddess and friends. What's out of focus? Is it out of focus? No. Okay. So that's Tamara's. Tamara, that is beautiful. Oh my goodness. No wonder things are loud. Hang on. I have my sound up really loud in my ears. Then Larry Bailey, living the dream. Another one of his watercolors of their dog Bailey down at the river near their property, I bet. I just love it. Yeah. It's so fun. Just the blend of colors from him in the water, and the shadow in the water, Larry, is so good. It's so good. I love it. Just wonderful. Oh, Aldo's going to be jealous. I've not been able to do anything like that for Aldo at all. Oh, no, doctor, for 2 weeks, Tamara? Out. I think it's just a sprain. Good. That's good. Yeah, I keep trying to tell myself it's just a sprain too, but yeah, no, I don't think so. But that's all right. There's nothing they can do. It's their tiny little bones. They'll heal in my toe. The reflection is the water is great. Yeah. Love me a purple. I love the purple dog. Yeah, I know. I like that. Is he, I wonder what kind of dog he is. Larry's driving, so he can't respond. Ugh. Very cool. Very cool. Good job, Larry. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is not mine or something I made, but it it is. It's not okay. Come on, get in. So this is the flower in a piece of Murano glass that my daughter brought to me from Italy. There's a vase that goes with it that it sits in. But see how it's blown. She studied in Italy. My Annalena studied in Italy for 5 months in Siena, and then traveled all around and brought this home. And it's like even got little pieces of pollen. Oops. You can see the little pieces of like pollen type area in the center glass. So pretty. And then the vase that it sits in is a tulip type vase of red and yellow that the flower sits in. But I wanted to show you that because it has to do with tonight's story. Yeah. It's so amazing. So for tonight's story, you're going to have to go back a few years. And I'm going to take you back a few years, just a few, like 600 years. Back to the Renaissance, back to a time when glass ceilings were really thick. And yes, we've broken through a lot of glass ceilings now, still breaking through some, but back then, glass ceilings were solid. And this story tonight is about a young girl who managed through her art to break through an amazing glass ceiling and leave a legacy that lives on to today. And I think you're going to like it. It's another book by Evan Turk. And he actually, I'll show you a little bit about this. He went, for this book, I wanted the art to capture the beauty and vibrancy of Venice, its lagoon, its architecture, the brilliant feeling of light and color in Murano glass. So he was able to go to Venice and Murano to experience it in person and to draw and observe master glassmaker David Salvadori and talk with him about his work. He went to the Corning Museum of Glass in Corning, New York, and made drawings of an incredible glassmaker and Renaissance glass historian, William Gudenroth, to better understand the process. he looked to a lot of different artists for the inspirations for this, but for this story, and he says um, the story itself he took from the history of this, what he could find about this girl, but he added a little bit to make it a little more just a story, because there was nothing really written about her. But it is a pretty amazing story. Well, there was one other thing I wanted to say about this. Oh, well, I mean, and glass is something I'm fortunate enough to have glass in my backyard. Not in my backyard, but just across the way, as do Larry and Angie, with the Chihuly Glass Museum in Tacoma. Chihuly is from the Northwest. The Chihuly Art School, Glass School, is up Pilchuck, is not that far away. I've been there, gone through it. My brother-in-law was a glass blower early on, Sarah's husband, early on in their marriage. He didn't pursue it all the way. It was something he thought about doing, but he went another direction. But it was a beautiful, he did a fair amount of art and blown glass with the ash left over from when, after Mount St. Helens. So that was a big thing, to collect the ash from Mount St. Helens and use that in glass blowing. So seeing glass art is something pretty common for me to, I mean, you go into, if you ever fly to Seattle, practically around every corner there's a Chihuly chandelier hanging, or there's a Chihuly installment. I mean, he's decorated a good part of the artwork in between that and the Northwest Coast native art. It's pretty amazing to see. So it is fun to see. I also, when I lived in Everett, there was the Shack Art. There's an artist co-op and an art museum, but they have a workshop, and they have a glass blowing. They have a glory hole and all that for doing all this stuff, so people can actually go in, and it's a community glass blowing place. So it's pretty cool to be able to see that. Anyway, here in America. So anyway, we watched a movie last night, The Glass Onion. So anyway, that's the story. So the story tonight is based on a real woman. It's called 1,000 Glass Flowers. Let me move her up here. And it is Marietta Barovier and the invention of the Rosetta bead. So take yourself back 600 years to the mid 1400s and get ready for this story. 1,000 Glass Flowers. And the illustrations for this book were rendered in watercolor, colored pencil, oil pastel, and gold gouache on tan paper. Very cool. I love how she glows like the, oh. Okay. Just let me check one little thing here make sure the brightness is not too much. Oh. There we go. There we go. That's better. Got it better. Whoa. Okay. Yes. Marietta loved to watch the sun. It was like a glowing ball of glass that rose each morning to give light and color to the world. She lived with her family on the island of Murano, as all the glassmakers did, cut off from the main city of Venice. Her father, Angelo Barovier, was a true maestro, a master of glass. He performed miracles with it, turning the molten sand into elegant forms as clear as water, as white as milk, or as richly colored as precious stones. Marietta dreamed of creating glass too, but glass was men's work. So while her brothers assisted their father with the blazing hot fires of the furnace, she stayed at home. Marietta wanted more. Every time she saw the sun, she was reminded of the glow of the furnace and longed to be able to make glass like her brothers. She wanted to create. Often she would idle near the door of the glass workshop watching the men work. "No little girls allowed," her brothers taunted as they chased her away. But still, Marietta returned. One day, her father noticed her peeking and beckoned her inside. As Marietta stepped into the workshop for the first time, she felt the immense heat of the furnace engulf her. She stared into the blinding light of the boca, the mouth of the furnace, as her father gathered glass onto a long iron blowpipe. He pulled the pipe out and puffed a quick bit of air into it. Marietta gasped as a bubble of air bloomed inside the hot ball of glass, expanding with her father's breath. Her father smiled. "Now you, my dear." Gently he held her hands on the pipe as he twirled it, guiding it toward the furnace. A rush of heat and light and fear hit her. Her skin must surely be on fire. She struggled to see as her father dipped the pipe to swirl the glass onto the end. He lifted the pipe out and began to blow again. Marietta felt raw and red from the heat. Even the sun could not be this bright or as hot. In stunned silence, she watched as her father continued to perform his miracles. Marietta woke the next morning, still blinking away the image of the furnace. But it would not disappear. Gingerly, she touched the red skin on her palm and felt a tingle of fear return. But along with it came a wave of exhilaration and purpose. She returned to her father's door. Once again, he smiled and brought her inside. The heat was just as intense as before. Marietta hesitated, but then she heard one of her brothers laugh. She stood a little taller and walked over to stand beside her father near the furnace. Marietta pushed her fear away and moved her pipe closer to the boca. The blaze of the heat nearly knocked her over, but she made sure her hands didn't shake. Steadily, she guided the pipe, twirling it as her father had shown her, and watched the molten glass swirl around the tip. At last, she pulled the pipe out and admired the tiny ball of glass she had collected. The boys stopped giggling. Marietta felt her dreams begin to take shape. And from then on, her father often taught her and let her observe. The heat of the furnace no longer frightened her. When it came to business, though, her brothers came first. "Today I will go with father to Venice," her older brother, Marino, bragged. "Take me with you," she pleaded, as he closed the door behind him. And day after day, she watched them leave for places she thought she would never see. Early one morning, her father entered her room with a grin. "Cara Marietta, today you will accompany me to Venice. A wealthy patron has asked me to create a work of glass for him." Marietta beamed. She and her father boarded an ornate gilded gondola at the dock, and the gondolier paddled them through the early morning fog to Venice. They passed under bridge after bridge until they arrived at the Grand Canal. Hundreds of gondole slid by in every direction, full of travelers, merchants, nobles, and fishermen. Their gondola stopped in front of the most brilliantly gleaming palace Marietta could have imagined. Her father's patron led them into a room filled with grand pedestals, each topped with a beautiful piece of glass. One in particular caught Marietta's eye. It was not the biggest or the showiest, but it was unique. It was a small bowl not much bigger than the palm of her hand, which looked like it had a field of flowers forever blooming across its surface. Marietta was entranced. "That, my dear, is very old," the patron said. "Alas, the technique has been lost for hundreds of years. That's part of what makes this so special." As they left, Marietta wished this magical day would never end. Then her father winked and whispered something to the gondolier, who continued farther down the Grand Canal to the most exquisite building Marietta had ever seen. "This is San Marco, and these incredible pictures are made with tiny pieces of glass and stone called tessere," her father whispered. "We call them mosaici." Mosaics. Marietta gasped at the twinkling golden scenes, shimmering with millions of individual pieces. She had never seen something so tiny become part of something so grand. Marietta imagined herself as one of the glittering tiles, yearning to see what dazzling picture she was to help create. As time passed, Marietta's skill grew and grew. She was never happier than when she was in the heat of the furnace. Finally, her brothers saw what she could do. When their father passed on, he left his workshop in the capable hands of his children, and to Marietta he entrusted his precious recipes for colored glass. Minnie and Murano laughed at the idea of a woman doing a man's job, and some of the other glassmakers even conspired against her. But Marietta kept working. The years went on, and as Marietta worked, memories of her childhood would often drift across her mind. She cherished each one like precious gold. One day, as she stared into the furnace, she gasped as an idea began to glow in her mind. She remembered the immense glittering mosaics in San Marco, made up of pieces so small yet so eternal, as she gathered white glass from the hot sun of the furnace. She remembered the ever-blooming flowers of the ancient bowl as she filled the glass with her breath. She remembered how her father had made miracles with glass and opened her eyes to the wonder of creating. She dipped the glass into layer after layer of brilliant red, white, and blue glass, pressing it into a star-shaped mold each time. She remembered the heat of the furnace and the fear she had once felt. And she remembered all those who had laughed at her. And as she dipped the pipe into a final layer, She remembered the sun like its glowing sphere of glass rising every morning to give light and color to the world. Using another blowpipe, Marietta pulled the molten glass into a long, thin rope. As she snapped the cooled rope into short segments, each break revealed a blooming star-shaped flower within. Like the ancient bowl she had seen so many years ago, her work had captured something magical. Carefully, Marietta filed and smoothed each segment into a rounded bead, an individual blossom or rosetta frozen in glass. One by one, she strung them into a necklace, each bead a memory opened at the center with the breath she had given. Soon people began to take notice of Marietta's Rosetta beads. Women wanted dozens of them for necklaces. Her beads were in such demand that the Doge, the leader of Venice, gave her the privilege of opening her own workshop, one of the first women to do so. As Marietta's Rosetta beads gained popularity around the world, they came to be as valuable as gold. Ships would soon sail with hulls full of thousands of her rosette from Europe to kings in West Africa and even to the shores of the New World. Marietta clasped a strand of rosette to her chest as she stared out over the lagoon, watching the sun emerge from the sea. Her beads were small, but they spread like a great meadow across the globe. Tiny balls of glass, memories strung together into something grand, reaching farther toward the sun than she ever thought possible. Oh, look at that. And here I will go and tell you. Mille fiori, meaning 1,000 flowers, in Italian is the modern name for the type of glass that Marietta Maria Barovier rediscovered through her creation of the Rosetta bead. The beads are made from segments cut in from long ropes of layered glass called canes, and the technique has existed for thousands of years, first in Egypt and later in Rome. The oldest examples are made of fused glass, like the bowl Marietta observed in the story, where the segments of cane were put into a mold and heated until they fused together. With the fall of the Roman Empire, the technique was lost for hundreds of years until it was rediscovered in the late 15th century. The first documentation of its return was the Rosetta bead in the glassworks inventory of Marietta and her brother Giovanni from 1496. The following year, the Doge of Venice granted Marietta permission to open her own furnace, becoming one of the first women ever allowed to do so in 1500. Wow! That would have been in 1497. Her furnace was for making small glass items that scholars believed to have been the Rosetta beads. In the 18th century, millefiori had another resurgence, and it became globally famous as a symbol of Murano glass yet again. The Baroviers are one of the oldest and most prominent glass-making families in Murano's history. It's just fascinating to me. With records going back to at least 1310. 1310. For this book, I met with one of Marietta's relatives, Rosa Barovier Mentasti, who is a well-known glass historian in Venice. The company Barovier and Toso is still around today and until recently was still family-owned. Marietta's father, Angelo, is one of the most revered glassmakers in Venetian history and is credited with the discovery of the colorless clear glass, or cristallo, crystal, He also used his background in chemistry to develop recipes for white milk glass, litimo, and a swirling, colorful glass called chalcedony that looks like stone, and many other intense colors. His recipes are carefully guarded secrets protected from foreign spies by the Venetian government and from other Murano glassmakers trying to copy his techniques. When Angelo died, Marietta and her brothers inherited the glassworks. Not much is known of Marietta's life aside from the few times she was documented in historical records, so I invented much of the story around those pieces of history and speculating on how she might have arrived at her beautiful innovation. Her connection with her father was clear, though through the fact that he left his most precious recipes for colored glass to her when he died. Glass scholar Luigi Zecchini believes that these recipes likely led to her creation of the vividly colored Rosetta bead. To this day, glass blowing is still a heavily male-dominated industry, but there are now renowned female glass artists all over the world. The Rosetta bead, attributed to Marietta Barovier, went on to become one of the most valuable currencies in the Renaissance world. Ships sailed from the Netherlands to West Africa and thousands of the beads in their hulls. And West African kings traded gold, ivory, and enslaved people for the beads. Early Spanish conquistadors traded with glass beads upon landing in the Americas, and even Christopher Columbus is said to have paid for passage across the seas with a strand of Rosetta beads. Whoa! Marietta Barovier grew up in a world that did not typically allow women to own businesses or reward women who worked instead of married. The first documented mention of her was in 1431 in her mother's will, which set aside 60 ducats, the Venetian currency of the time, for Marietta's eventual wedding. But there is no record of Marietta ever marrying or having children, and her legacy as an artist and artisan lives on through the global impact of the Rosetta bead and the endurance of the Mille Fiori as a symbol of Venetian glass today. And then there's a picture here, I'll go back, of Evan Turk. I mean, he went so far as to try it. I even took a glass blowing workshop in Corning to experience the process myself. Being so close to the heat in the furnace and feeling the difficulty and excitement of the process shaped how I imagine Marietta must have felt to that environment. To try to capture the feeling for the time in the air, I looked at Renaissance artists like Sandro Botticelli and Artemisia Gentileschi. I looked carefully at the paintings of Gentile Bellini and Vittorio Carpaccio, who both made incredibly detailed paintings of Venice in Marietta's time, which serve as some of the only historical records of what Venice looked like in that era. To capture the time, which serve as some of the only to capture the feeling of color, light, and movement in the glass and water of Venice, I looked to the Impressionist artists like Pierre Bonnard, Mary Cassatt, and Raoul Dufy. Impressionist painters often worked outdoors, using bright colors to capture changing light and emotion in painting. I also looked at the art of Sonia Delaunay, who, although she was from a much later time, 1885 to 1979, created work that felt just like the bright colors and dynamic energy of the Mille Fiori. I used a combination of bright watercolors, colored pencils, oil pastels, and gold gouache on tan paper to show the powerful dark and light contrast of the glass workshop and the amazing colors of the Murano glass. And then he says a big thank you. Just the work that he went into to do this book, but to tell this story, oh my goodness, I just loved it. I just thought it was absolutely amazing. So crazy. Dearborn, Michigan has Glass Academy. They also offer classes. Yes, they do. Oh, long dress and long hair. Can you imagine? Yeah, that's just, whew. I mean, I can remember standing in front of my brother-in-law's glass furnace and, having him, Jim, it was just kind of crazy. But so that's that. But I'm also just because this other book is very short and it's not Evan didn't write it, but he did the art with it. And I wanted, since I'm kind of featuring his artwork, I wanted to show these comparisons side by side. His the way he does eyes and facial expressions, like here. Let's see. I'm gonna read. Here's another one. That's the back of her. Here, look at this. So how he does the facial expressions and the eyes and the faces. It's really fascinating. I think his style is very interesting. So I'm going to read Color the Sky real quick. It's a very short one. I just want to get, because it's going to leave you with some fun, brightness, and I hope for all of you. Let's get this a little brighter. Color the Sky. Words by David Elliott. Because, artists, we all enjoy coloring, don't we? Just to the color. Of course, I like black and white, but this is pretty cool. Color the Sky. And I love the way he does this. It's almost like, let's check, see what if he tells me. Maybe he'll tell you that. It's like he's using charcoal for the outlines and then smudging them a bit. It's very cool. Red, big. Red, small. Red sits on my garden wall. Blue, low. Blue, high. Blue has taken to the sky. Black is drinking from my cup. White has flown away. Yellow sings, wake up, wake up. Green shouts, come and play. Brown left, brown right, brown in shadow, brown in light. Orange here, orange there. Orange disappears in leaf and air and bursts into an orange song. Then all the colors sing along. Purple joins the chorus too. She's with her cousins, red and blue. Color, color on the wing. They sing and sing and sing and sing. And I sing with them clear and light. And spread my wings. And take flight. Oh. The illustrations for this book were done in pastel and charcoal on drawing paper. And let's see. And David Elliott is an award-winning author of over 25 books, including Finn Throws a Fit and Here's to You. Trained in classical voice, he's lived and worked in the Philippines, Palau, Israel, Mexico, Libya, and Greece. He's also authored 3 critically acclaimed novels in verse: Bull, Voices, The Final Hours of Joan of Arc, and The Seventh Raven. A native of Ohio, he now lives in New Hampshire with his wife and their dandy Dinmont Terrier. So Evan Turk did this one, but I just thought the way he makes marks on the paper to do this beautiful illustration and to just, I mean, it's just that mark making. And it builds and builds throughout the book. This face right here. And the little cup. Oh, to be that free with your art, with their mark making, and to do that. I am so behind on my homework. I have drawing class on Tuesday and I haven't even started on the drawing. Ah! I might go do that tonight after this. I like this. I've been doing doodle paintings, which are not very good. And Zen doodles. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. What does everybody say here? Yeah, a stabilo pencil. That's a good idea. I have some of those chalk ones, but that charcoal. It's interesting. Wide-eyed wonder on the faces. That's true. I love the crayon scribbling effect. I know, doesn't it, Susan? Doesn't it make you feel like yes? I always admire people that scribble art. Yes, it's just Pierre Morgan, you know, and then just all the things you can do with scribble. Evan and the fellow that lives in the fellow that lives in Riverside, he lives in Evan Turk. Is an Ezra Jack Keats Book Award. Yeah, he did The Storyteller that I read the other night. He's the author, illustrator of The Storyteller, Heartbeat, and You Are Home, an Ode to the National Parks. He's also the illustrator of Muddy, the story of blues legend Muddy Waters. Originally from Colorado, he now lives in the Hudson River Valley with his husband and 2 cats. He's a graduate of Parsons School of Design and continued his studies as a member of the Dalverio Academy. You're thinking of David Salati, the guy that lives in Riverside. That's the one who did the Tommy DePaola book. And yeah, that's in the stack over there. There's a big giant stack over there. Waiting to be read to you guys. Yeah. I just need to get into the world again. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. This is one. This and Thursday night. See, there's 2 nights. I mean, and it gives me such good. This gives me such good structure and pulling things together and knowing. I mean, it just. I know how to put this all together. Some of this other stuff that's sitting out there right now. It's just. It is what it is. By the way, I got my podcast out the other day about it's not right, good, right, wrong, good or bad. It just is. I did it. I did it. I taped it in 1 take. I just decided that if I'm going to do a podcast, I'm not going to put any more work on myself. I'm just going to think about what I want to say and then say it very short and quick in 10 minutes or less. Whew. Yeah. Me, 10 minutes or less. You guys you can all laugh. You can all just laugh. Ha 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 ha. Right. Anyway, everybody, I did a pirate and charcoal years ago. Pirates, I love pirates. Oh my gosh. I love pirates. I want to see the pirate. That would be, please send it in sometime, Linda, for show and tell. Please, please. Arr. I'll even do my pirate voice for you. Yeah. Anyway, I have Captain Abdul's Pirate School someplace around here. Someplace by Colin McNaughton. Yeah. Anyway, you guys, it has been a delightful night. Thank you so much for grounding me, giving me a center, and helping me to get my week off to a good start. it's going to be a busy one. If you're in the Northwest and you want to come to the Key Center on Wednesday afternoon from 4 to 8, my booth will be in the up-down section. Yeah. Fortunately, it's not a big, long thing. But you guys, take care. And until next time, keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around you. But you know, the first place you'll find it is when you go look in the mirror. And when you go look in the mirror, give yourself a high five and celebrate yourself. See you later, guys.
In the heat of the night, we could get lost in all the lights and sounds. Feeling alright, we won't go home, we will just stay here downtown. There's not just stars on the boulevard, they're in the light in your eyes. Oh, we don't need no black cards, I just need you by my side.
Susan, did I miss something?
We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too.
Thank you.
We could be famous. We could be famous.
Oh no, I think you need to redraw it.
Looking like
Do an
a
improved
mile
Pirates.
better than usual.
That's right, we can all do Eyes Are Hard. One eye
Don't even
pirate.
try.
That's my
Amateur typical. I put you on a pedestal. There's not just stars on the boulevard, they're in the
Thank
light
you.
in your eyes. Oh, we don't need no black cards, I just need you by my side. We could